Thank you, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful conference in this beautiful space. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So when he was young, my son Miles, I signed him up for some yoga classes, some Pilates, even some ballet. And he did not want to be a ballerina. He wanted to play tennis like this guy. He's often compared to a ballet dancer. His moves are so serene. In fact, when his fellow pros have their back turned, they know when Roger Federer is on the tennis court because you cannot hear a sound. He moves with such ease and grace. What are the things that he does? How does he train in order to achieve such excellence? Well, it turns out it's not ballet. It's a lot of training for footwork. So he does a lot of drills. We know that. He runs up and down mountains. He also participates in other sports, such as soccer and skiing, so that he doesn't have one-foot dominance. He's also learned to move in many different ways quickly without moving his torso, only moving his legs. And of course, he's got that instinct to know 2 seconds before his opponents exactly where that ball is going to land. So it's not ballet, it's not Pilates, it's not yoga. Sorry, Miles. So at SiriusDecisions, we wanted to understand what made for product management excellence. What would drive a high-performing product management function? We wanted to define what is a high-performing product management function, and then we wanted to understand what characteristics, what activities they did to help them drive performance. So today I'm going to take you through what we learned. I'm going to take you through some models and frameworks. We've got a lot of those, and recommend some actions you can take immediately. The first thing is defining product management excellence or a high-performing product management organization. And to do this, we looked at our SiriusDecisions Command Center. Our Command Center houses all the feedback we get from 3,000 B2B product management, marketing, and sales professionals from companies all over the world. And from that data, we decided that product management excellence or high-performing product management teams are the ones that tell us that they reach their revenue goals for 75% or more of their products. That's pretty good. Think about it. If 75% of your products meet revenue goals, you're doing pretty well. And just to give you an average, about 15% of those participants said that 75% of their products meet revenue goals. So that's how we defined high performance. The next step was, well, what do they do differently? So we went back to that command center. And the command center has metrics and data on all the different activities that these high-performing product management teams are engaged in. We looked at about 30 different metrics. We looked at spending, we looked at ratios, product managers to product developers, product managers to product marketers, and we came up with a handful of metrics, and today I'm going to share those with you. Now, when we talk to product management leaders, and we talk to about 20 product management leaders a week among the product management analysts at SiriusDecisions, generally, these are the 6 areas that we discuss. These are the 6 areas of concern for product management leaders. How do we better understand customers for innovation? How do we best make our decisions on where to spend money? And then how do we package and price those offerings to maximize value for us and for the buyer? How do we best manage a process for innovation and go to market? How do we manage through Agile, and then setting up the product management team, ensuring they're upskilled? So I'm going to take you through criteria and activities for 5 of these areas. The first is customer understanding. And what we found is that 88% of these high-performing organizations, these organizations that say 75% or more of their products meet revenue goals, they have a thorough, well-followed program to understand customer needs. And when product managers better understand customer needs, they can do a better job at driving innovation. And innovation is not just about new technologies. It's about identifying an unmet need, identifying a solution that can help buyers better fulfill a need. And when product managers know their customers better, they can work on products that buyers want. And they're not spending time redoing offerings because they didn't understand the customer need. Thus, it's more likely they're going to be first to market and meet those revenue goals. So some of the things that you and your team can do, and we talk to clients about a lot, is go on customer visits. We're always encouraging product managers, product management leaders we talk to set some goals for customer visits. 3 a quarter is great. But it's important as product management leaders to provide the resources so that those product managers can go on those visits. That means allowing them the time and the budget, freeing them up so that they can go talk to customers and learn more. In terms of having a consistent process, this model is the one we share with our clients to help them standardize their approach to understanding customer needs. It's a 5-step process where you first define the need, then you define the scope of the need. What target market are we talking about? Who is my buyer? Are we looking for needs that they have now or needs that they might have in the future? That's important because if you're looking for needs buyers have in the future, users probably are not going to tell you that. You might want to talk to a customer advisory board. So that decision dictates how you will find the needs. And then we have a process for prioritizing the needs, so you're focused on those with the highest value and applying it to innovation and go-to-market. I'm going to move on to product portfolio investment decisions. And what we found was about 75% of these high-performing companies have a standardized way to assess business cases, to assess their spending decisions. And when I'm talking about product spending decisions, it's not just new products. We know product management teams spend a lot of time enhancing current products. It's those decisions, enhancing current products, launching new products. Which products should you sunset? How do you make those decisions? Well, while many organizations might focus on gut feel, and a lot of organizations focus on financial business cases. And financial business cases are rife with assumptions that really haven't been fully vetted. And when you put assumption on top of assumption on top of assumption, often the financial business case can be pretty far off. So what we recommend is that organizations have a more comprehensive set of criteria. That's what you see here. SiriusDecisions has a number of scorecards for different situations. This is the one we recommend for assessing major business cases, and as you can see, it's got comprehensive criteria, understanding how well a business case might help you achieve your strategic goals. How about the opportunity? How attractive is it? How competitive is the market? But one thing that organizations often don't look at is how poised they are to win an opportunity. You could have a great opportunity that's strategic, but if you don't have the right sales force, they're not trained right, if you don't know the buyer, you don't understand the needs, you're not going to be poised to win there. So not only does this scorecard help you assess a business case, it helps you identify the gaps you need to fill to succeed. And what we find is that if you have consistent criteria for business cases or any kind of innovation ideas, the ideas that come forth are better because product managers, product owners, product developers, they all know the criteria. Let's talk about packaging and pricing strategy. We have found that the highest performers focus on a more value or market-focused approach to pricing. So again, they're not doing it from the gut. They're looking at the market. They're looking at competitive pricing because that helps you measure value. It helps you see how your buyer measures the value that your competition offers. And one of the ways that they do this is through buyer value interviews. Buyer value interviews are done to better understand your customer's business, not to sell a product. And it's something that can be done. You know, I mentioned earlier that it's important to go out and visit customers. Some of your team or your customer visits could be buyer value interviews. And you can see some of the questions here. They're not related to your offering. They're related to how your buyer makes money, what are their biggest costs, what are their biggest revenue streams. All of those things help you learn the importance of your offering in their workflow. And it helps you find areas of need as well that you might be surprised to uncover. So we encourage clients to undertake buyer value interviews as a precursor to developing the offering. And what you'll find is you'll start developing offerings of higher value, but certainly as a precursor for pricing. The next area wasn't surprising to us. We have spent a lot of time at SiriusDecisions talking about consistent processes for innovation and go-to-market. So it's not surprising that a large percentage of these high performers had a consistent process to innovate an offering and bring it to market. And here you see, a model with 65 boxes on it. It's the SiriusDecisions PMM model. I'm going to make it bigger in a moment. But many organizations look at that and are like, oh my God, how could I possibly adopt such a model? There's too many boxes, so much change. So what we recommend organizations do is take a look at the model and see if you can find, assess yourself. See if you can find gap areas that are really important that you can improve. Maybe it's understanding buyer needs. Maybe it's portfolio architecture. Maybe it's release readiness. So that's a good step to take to identify the most important areas of improvement. And so here you see the model. We've been using this model for about 5 or 6 years. We have worked with probably over 200 companies to help them adapt this model and then adopt it. So many companies take it, they remove some of the activities, they change some of the nomenclature to make it their own. And some of the key things about this model like this. You can see that you've got 65 activities and deliverables. The activities are in blue, the deliverables are in green. And when you have activities and deliverables assigned to high-level functions or even more deeply to specific roles, there's more efficiency. There's less duplication. Everybody's happier. They know what they have to do. Another element is that there's less risk. You're not leaving the process to the whim of a team that might not know all the activities that you're supposed to do to develop a new offering and bring it to market or to enhance an offering. So by having prescribed activities that you know work and cover all the important areas, you are lowering risk. So you've got increased efficiency, you've got lowered risk. With this model, we have a lot of customer-focused components early in the model. You see things such as buyer needs, market sizing segmentation, buying cycle, user personas. So we have a lot of elements to help you better understand customer needs before you even get started. And that's a key thing that really does help drive growth and excellence. In terms of product management, roles, responsibility, and structure. We work with a lot of brand new product management organizations, or we work with companies that are just defining product ownership roles, product marketing roles, some with product operations roles, and there's often confusion as to what product management does and what other groups do. So we created the product management range of responsibilities model. And what we found is that when there is clarity in terms of what people should do, not just product managers, anybody, people are happier. When it's clear what product management does and the other roles do, user experience, product marketing, everybody's a little bit more motivated, everybody's happier, they can work together, there's more alignment. And it's important to have the right metrics, because if product management and others know how they're being judged and how their role is being assessed, they can better understand which knobs and dials to turn to improve performance of product management and performance of the offering. So here is this range of responsibilities model for you to see. You see that there's, these 5 high-level disciplines we recommend product management engage in. And we're not saying that every product manager has to cover every single one of these gray boxes. That's probably going to be too much. So what product leaders do is sometimes they divide up some of these areas among different product management individuals. Sometimes they think about where they need to focus. If you've got no products in market, well, then you're probably focusing over here. If you've got a lot of products in market, you're focusing over here, and you've got some focus here as well. We tend to see product managers focused here too much. I can tell you that. Product delivery is a very comfortable area for product management. Being focused on the development team and all the trade-offs and helping with working on sprints, things like that, which means that they're not going to be as market focused, they're not going to be focused on customer needs. So as much as you can, if you can, obviously this is important, but if you add in things like 3 customer interviews a month, suddenly they're focused a little bit more over here, right? And if you can identify areas to help them with their skills to better understand market trends, better analyze markets, to identify new opportunities, they're going to start to get a comfort level to move over here. Which leads me to the last area. So we found that these high-performing organizations, product management these have product management teams that are engaged in consistent upskilling. And when I'm talking about consistent upskilling, I'm not talking about just going to, one training session a year. That's not going to take, and it's not going to be shared amongst the team. Ideally, it's something ongoing. And just as I talked about an assessment for that product innovation and lifecycle process, here's another area where you can help identify areas for improvement for your product management teams. And what you see here is the SiriusDecisions product management competency map. You only see a piece of it, but it's based on that range of responsibilities. So what we did is for each of those areas of responsibility, we pulled out some of those skills that you need and some of the knowledge that you need. And what you can do is assess your team through that range of responsibilities model to identify areas where they can improve. And then, help them find learning modules that are out there, webinars that are out there to help them improve. SiriusDecisions offers e-learning opportunities, courses done online that product managers take to help them upskill. And what you'll find is when organizations and product management teams are upskilled, starting to learn best practices, learning new best practices in different areas, they're going to share them with one another, and they're going to share those successes. And it's important for you as leaders to publicize those successes. And once those are recognized, you'll find that more and more individuals will be seeking to be improved and upskilled. So, doing things like adopting a new process for understanding customer needs, adopting a new customized or standardized process for product innovation and go-to-market, those themselves are not going to build huge growth, but what they do is they standardize the everyday activities of product managers, which makes those everyday activities just much easier to do. If it's clear what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it, they're not going to be running around looking for templates online, for business cases and things like that. That can all be standardized, and they can be focused on some of the things that are going to make your offerings really win and grow in the market. The other element is when you adopt processes such as I mentioned, especially the scoring model, the value driver interviews, product managers will have the right information at their fingertips to make decisions. And we know product managers spend a lot of time making decisions with imperfect information. When you follow these processes and have better standardization, it's going to be easier for them to access the information, and they'll know what questions to ask. And finally, when teams understand what their role is, they understand how to work, how they're interfacing and working with others, alignment will be stronger, interlock will be stronger between, not just between the product teams, but between product marketing and sales. And that really helps drive a stronger revenue engine to create products that grow. So here's some things that I leave you with. There's some, what we recommend is you identify 2 or 3 areas where you or your teams can improve when it comes to customer needs, better understanding value for pricing, when it comes to having better, more succinct, clear processes for both innovating offerings and bringing them to market and making decisions on investments. So I recommend you select some areas and focus and find some help for improving and moving towards revenue growth and product management excellence. Thank you. So I have 2 minutes and 44 seconds for questions. Anybody? Yes, hi.
I think we have a mic. Great.
Hi. First, I don't know if you remember, but we appreciate your training day that you had at our company a few weeks ago, actually.
Yes.
So, pleasant surprise to see you.
Yeah.
I just wanted you, if you could speak to the point, you said a lot of product marketers focus on less on the market, how much the market will take, or just doing the market research. Sometimes companies decide to create a product without doing all that, and then they'd have to make several iterations, go back to the customer in terms of how they change the product. What do you typically recommend first immediate steps when your product's already out there in the market and maybe the research hasn't been fully backed? So I don't know, I'm sure there's more companies that do that often than not.
We certainly see that often. We see, companies that develop products. They might have developed it for one market and it didn't work, and now they're looking for another market. But what I recommend is going back to that needs aperture and better understand the customer needs. Thinking about, well, who did you target? Maybe you targeted the wrong buyer. I'd say going back and better focus on whose need that you were intending to address, because it could be that you've been targeting the wrong buyer all along. What was the need area that you were intending to address? Maybe you got it a little wrong. So I think going back to the market and going back to buyers and users, I mean, it could be a user issue as well, to identify where's the disconnect here? What went wrong? Where is the gap? Okay, so there's some gap between, what that need is and what your product provides. So by trying to define what that need is, what's that outcome that buyer wants, you can better fill the gap between your product and the need. Yeah. All the way in the back there, yeah.
With that gap in time, I almost forgot my question. So, what best practice can you recommend for startups who are trying to develop some of those best practices, may not be fully staffed yet, but certainly want to apply some of these principles that you've been sharing with us today, which are really good, by the way. Thank you.
I think one of the best things you can do if you're a startup and you're obviously starting with an offering is to focus, if you remember that PMM model, is to start focus on creating some of those deliverables. And we often talk about a business case, creating a clear business case, not just the financial business case, but the business case around who you're targeting, who that buyer is, right? What their needs are, how will you get to that buyer? What's your route to market? Why are you different? Things like that. So I think when we work with clients on that PMM model and they say, "Whew, it's just too much," we say focus on one or two deliverables, because you will find that you all do have to contribute. Creates got a lot of good discussion and alignment and agreement on a strategy to go forward. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh.
Thank you. So my question to you is, a lot of product team, as you mentioned, are kind of stuck or pigeonholed into the product delivery aspect, and they need to move more towards strategic. And a lot of time, obviously you need executive and other VP buy-ins. So what do you think are some of those ways where product managers, if you're not in a management level, can help to sway or at least bubble up some of those concerns?
I think if product managers can actually just even go on some customer visits and bring back some findings, and even if you go on customer visits and ask customers why they like your product, and you can it's great if you can videotape them. You learn so much about your product and what's great about it when you ask customers about it. A lot of companies don't do this. Bring it back to executives, and they will. First of all, they'll be able to use it. They'll be talking about it. Salespeople will be talking about it, and suddenly all the beauty that comes from talking to customers will be really clear to them. So I'd say go and try something and then bring it back and show what it means to the business. Okay, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day.